Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for joining me for the new moon in Scorpio. And that's going to be on November 18th, 6:42 a.m. Eastern. Times will vary. Once again, I've put the people like that thing, so it's over here. I'm going to stick with this for now, because I hurt my hand, so trying to mess around with everything one hand. I can't be moving cameras around and stuff. But anyways, here it is, and we've got the Jupiter in Scorpio. Now the new moon in Scorpio, and Venus is in there, Vesta is in there. Mars will be getting in there sometime coming up. Saturn is right conjunct that galactic center at that time. You know, this Saturn square Chiron, well, here we go. Let's start with Jupiter and Scorpio and all the Scorpio energy. Right away, like in America, what's happening? All these sexual harassment things are coming out, right? So that makes complete sense. Because Jupiter is going to always emphasize the sign of the house that it's in. So Jupiter this year is emphasizing Scorpio, which is not all about sexuality. There's many things. It's other people's money, it's death and rebirth. It is going into that deep, dark energy. I'm going to jump back to it, but the Saturn square Chiron, I think this is totally why this is happening now, because it's happened. We got this boost into Scorpio with the Jupiter and all this energy, but then also the Saturn square Chiron. It's been going on, but this is going to really just bring it right out. And that's, you know, the patriarchy, the traditional patriarchy, power that be in Sag has to learn new ways of doing things and wielding the power that they have. And Chiron is the victim. It's the wounded victim. And this is stuff in the 12th house and in Pisces. You know, this is stuff that's been going on for you, because many people are coming out, you know, this happened 20 years ago or whatever. And, you know, it's coming out. It's been this wound that's been festering. And it's dealing with, you know, the patriarchal society. And, you know, Scorpio, I can't help thinking, not to minimalize it, you know, not to minimalize the Me Too thing at all, but, you know, America is one thing, but there's countries where women still have zero rights. You know, they're raped every day or whatever. You know, it's you know, and they have zero. They can't vote on different things and genital mutilation. You know, so there's much more to go into as we get into the world here. You know, the worldwide, not just in the United States, but here's what's been happening in the United States. You know, these sexual predators, these men in power, mostly men in power, and preying on weaker and sexual abuse or misconduct, or, you know, there's different levels of it. But Scorpio's all about that. Okay, Scorpio's all about that. Now, hoping that while Saturn's still in Sag, because Saturn's going to go into Capricorn next month, but while Saturn's still in Sag, and we've got the power of this Scorpio new moon and all this Jupiter and everything, it's not conjunct, but it's in there, it's backing it up. You know, we got this major focus, this major concentration of the Scorpio energy here. And then the Saturn squaring Chiron still, you know, that in the sign of Sagittarius, that we could maybe actually achieve something by it, you know. Maybe actually 9th house Sagittarius, 9th house Sag, Jupiter's ruler, you know, or Jupiter rules over it, I should say. But, you know, maybe we can go to the next level. Maybe we can have some enlightenment. Maybe we can learn something, higher knowledge. You know, there could be there could be improvement, and there could be true healing. This, you know, instead of just because people are coming out, I know that's very empowering. And Lilith, where's Lilith at? She's over here in Capricorn too, so she's going to ruffle some feathers in Capricorn, I think, right? I think Lilith ruffles some feathers wherever she goes, but it's the empowered woman. Lilith, I think, more than anything, represents the empowered woman. And now she's moving into Capricorn. And that can bring up a lot of fear in people, because I think a lot of people fear, oh, the empowered woman, it's the bitch on wheels, and look out, and now we're going to, you know, now the men will be crushed by these women, and they're afraid of losing their power, and, you know, and it shouldn't be that way. If we're evolving, you know, the Native American spirituality, it's balance. The wise, there's the council of the wise woman, and the, you know, the male, there's both. And their word for God is not he with a capital H. It's Great Spirit. It's genderless. You know, so it's not like, okay, now the women are going to take over, we're going to crush you, man-eaters, and we're going to crush you, and, you know, we're going to treat you like you've treated us. You know, it's not like that, and it doesn't have to be. You know, the New Age, the Age of Aquarius, the, you know, the all these cycles and these prophecies and all this stuff that we're in this age of right now, it's all leading, ideally, and when you bring in the energy of Sag, it's all leading to, you know, a genderless, you know, it's the best person for the job, you know, and with Capricorn and 10th house stuff too, this is going to be about that too. But we're going to get into how the women aren't paid as much and everything else, and you know, we don't have equal opportunities. And again, if in not only in America but worldwide, and there's much, you know, much more serious things going on worldwide than we're dealing with. But it's all important. It's not to minimalize. Well, in America, at least we can vote, at least we can drive, and at least we can have our own money or this or that. But we got to bring everybody along in the age of Aquarius. You know, we got to bring everybody along. And then talking about Aquarius, you know, the South Node being still in Aquarius, I do feel like that's going to be a lot more galactic disclosure, which has been happening. I'm going to start doing some videos about it, because I'm pretty far down the rabbit hole. I don't really let on about it on YouTube as much. But I'm going to start with some real easy stuff to kind of ease people into it. I've been wanting to do that for a while, but, you know, my hand and other things have stopped me. And a little bit of maybe afraid of coming out about that, you know. But I'm going to start doing that. But in Aquarius, you know, in our past lives as individuals, in our past eras, in our past, you know, through the ages, the traditional roles of men and women, because if you know esoteric astrology and you know in reincarnation, that you know that we've been everything. You've been every race, you've been male, female, gay, straight, you've been every sexual preference and gender, you've been everything. So it's all about uniting and going back and healing these wounds from other lives when maybe we were the oppressor. So maybe in this life we've been the victim and we've been wounded and by a sexual predator or somebody in power who wielded their power and, you know, in these types of ways. But I guarantee you probably in a past life you were. I know I was. I saw myself, and I was shocked when I first started getting regressed and getting into it. Like, this is like in the 80s. I was shocked at how many times I was a man and I was really abusive, and I was an asshole. I wasn't really an asshole, and I mistreated women. You know, I mistreated women, and I liked that power thing. You know, I really liked that a lot, and I definitely thought women were, you know, my property or whatever. You know, I was real. I was shocked at what I saw. And when you regressed yourself or you see the visions yourself, you know it's you. So you can't just blow it off as, oh well, you know, that's not me. You know, I find that when I do the past life readings, sometimes people will be like, well, that's not me. Well, no, it's not you in this incarnation, but it is part of your soul's journey, and that's all what the nodes ties into, and that it is part of, you know, your soul's evolution. It doesn't mean to stay a victim forever. It means to elevate all, the age of Aquarius, the South Node Aquarius, to go back in time to these eras, to these other lives. And forget about it. You can throw the past life stuff. You don't even have to bring that into the discussion. You can just go through the eras of humanity, you know, and us being a human on Earth, you know, we're going to heal these wounds when there was, you know, slavery was, well, I guess the slavery is still happening, of course, but, you know, slavery was the norm, let's say. And it's not just in America. You know, we're going back to ancient Rome, ancient Greece. People have been enslaved since the beginning of recorded history. You know, there's been enslavement. So we're you know, anytime when you want to put power over somebody else or think that you're more than, and that the fact that you're more than gives you a right to treat another than less than, these are the things that we're healing and we're working on right now. This is what this is all about. And we're also getting that boost and that help because Saturn's on that galactic center again, you know, and that is that download point. You know, that is, you know, you reach a point of crisis, or you reach a point of where, you know, anger and these lower vibrational emotions, these earthly emotions may come to a head. And then you need, it's like the tower in the tarot deck, you know, it has to come to a head, it has to explode, and then it has to go. And it's Pluto more than anything, I would say, in astrology. But there needs to be there's a crack and it needs to change, and or that great line about where the crack where the light comes in, is that Cohen or somebody? But this is what this could be. This is like massive downloads, massive, because going around the same way, it's always like, okay, so the cycle has been, well, I'm in power, I treat you like shit, then I incarnate and you're powerful and you treat me like shit, and it's this endless karmic wheel that never ends. And Saturn is karma. Saturn's your karma. It's father time. It's a lot of things, but and it's the, the patriarchy. It's the male father energy, but it's karmic. Where your Saturn is in your chart is probably your most karmic point. And if you wanted to get one of those soul readings, I do offer those. And let me just plug real quick too, I'm open for the year ahead readings too if you're interested in those. Not astrology, more psychic and tarot, but I do go over the basic transits, just the big things that are changing this year, coming up, because there are some big things. I'll just mention them real quick. Of course, Jupiter's in Scorpio. That's an every year change. But we've got Saturn moving into Capricorn. Uranus is going to make a big shift and move into Taurus. And then I address if these nodes might be hitting your chart. So I do a quick overview of some hits on your chart. Then it's a tarot reading. Then it's a animal totem. And I also do your numerology and give you your tarot card for the year. But I digress. But Saturn's karmic. That's what we were talking about. So to get off the wheel of karma, I hurt you, you hurt me. I hurt you, you hurt me. You know, round and round and round we go for eons and eons and eons and eons. You know, maybe we need to have a little bit of a download, you know, from the galactic center. Maybe we need to try something a little different, you know. And Aquarius, I like how it's everybody. I love that, what I happened to see on the internet, that Anna Paquin, that was so awesome, man. She goes, I was there and I stand with you. Simple, sweet, to the point, not attack, yeah, he's an asshole, blah, 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 yeah, da, da. No. In Aquarian energy, all for one, I stand with you, you know. And I think that's probably more powerful than this, you know, even just a tit for a tat, an eye for an eye in this incarnation, or, you know, forget about past lives again, you know, you just, well, you hurt me, now I'm going to hurt you, you know. Like I said when I was growing up, if somebody hit you, you hit them back, you know. Instead of that, just, that was so elegant and so much grace and elegance. I just love that. You know, it doesn't have to be this. I can't handle that stuff. You know, you know, that catty, you know, attacking. I just I can't take that. You know, and I like that it was just simple, sweet. It wasn't attacking. It was just saying the gist of it was I stand with you. I acknowledge what you know. That's the Aquarian way. That's the thing. And when you heal these wounds, you heal them all through the centuries, all through the eons, all through humanity's story, history, all through your past lives and the karma of the earth too. You know, beyond your personal karma or your soul group karma. It's the karma of the earth, you know. And Scorpio wasn't going to let this go by, you know. Scorpio wasn't going to let this go by without digging down there, and we're going to show this stuff. I was thinking about relating Scorpio to sexuality, so I want to come back to the Scorpio energy because it's so pronounced with Jupiter there too. I was thinking about it, I should have looked it up, but it was the AIDS epidemic, but I think it was maybe when Pluto was in Scorpio. But, you know, it definitely has ties to these major sexuality, and it ain't always pretty. And, you know, compared to the AIDS epidemic, this isn't anywhere near it. But it's not even like that. You know, it's not like, well, this was worse or this. But I was raped. But I was only groped. You know, it's the whole idea. It's not, well, I had it worse than you. Who's the bigger victim? Right? That's a thing that we can fall into. Well, who's the bigger victim? Well, I walked 10 miles to school. Or, you know, whatever. You know, who's the bigger victim? It's like it matters not. You know. This is what's been happening, and we're going to look at it. Scorpio says we are going to look at this. You're not going to get away with brushing this under the rug anymore. And the Aquarian age and the South-Known Aquarius, we're going to bring along the whole group of, you know, it's society, it's everything's going to change. You know, it's not going to be, you know, there's these power things, you know, this power over others has got to change. And I mean, I've said it again and again, but why not let it, what's the harm in letting it change? What if somebody who's being suppressed right now has the download for the cure for cancer? Again, many people think that's already out there, or whatever, some great invention or something for humanity, and they're being suppressed, or they're being stuck in a system where they've always got to worry about money, or worry about this, or worry about that, and they can never let their mind expand, let their thoughts go and get those downloads, because they don't have a moment's peace, It's about struggle and survival. It's like that, the Laszlo, I think it was, the pyramid of the hierarchy of success. The very bottom of the pyramid is you've got to have your basic needs met, You can't get to self-actualization, which is the top of that pyramid, until, there's steps along the way, and the very bottom step, I want to try to look that up before we stop. That'd be interesting to look at. The very bottom step is just just have my needs met. So if you're living in poverty, or you've got medical bills, or this or that, or you're stressed out about this or that, or crime, or you're worried about being nuclear bombed, then you can't get to that place. Those two energies can't exist in the same place, in the same vibe. They just can't. So this clearing out is very important. It's important. Scorpio knows it's important. Let me look that up. I actually want to look that up. I think that's worth looking up here. Let's see. I have my website open, but I'll just maybe hierarchy of success, because I'm not sure that guy's name, Laszlo or somebody. It's a very cool Laszlo with an M. I was calling him Laszlo. It's M. Here it is. All right, let's just grab an image and look at one. Open up, please. There we go. Your basic stuff, physiological, breathing, water, sex, sleep. This is blurry because it's not a great image. Homeostasis, and I can't even read that. It's pretty blurry. But you see how it goes. Then safety, security of body, employment, resources, love and belonging, friendships, family. So what he's saying is you can't get to here until this is okay. So you get this okay, then you move to the next, and the next, friendship, and then esteem, self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respecting of others. And then you can get to the self-actualization. That's where we all want to strive as human beings, right? Morality, creativity, is that spontaneity, problem solving. It's hard to read because they're blown up JPEG or something. It's pixelated, but if you're interested, it's worth reading up on. If you've never, I'm sure many of you are familiar with it, but if you never were, it's worth looking into it. And I think that's a lot of what's going on here. People can't move past that. They can't move past that because it's still wounding them 20, 30 years or however many years later. And this guy's still walking around and getting away with it or whatever. He's still out there doing it. And I say he because, yeah, it's mainly he, but it's not about pointing the finger that I'm a man-hater and men are bad, because there's many men who aren't bad. There's many men who are self-actualizing and realizing this and wanting to grow. And if you're watching this forecast, I'm sure you're one of them, but it's society at large, maybe not, and that's where this 11th house. But we got to realize with the South Node Aquarius that it's, it's all of us. Okay, is this thing making any aspects? Well, it's got the 26th to the Uranus Palace, so that's enlightenment too. And through the individuals joining together, Aries is the individual, I, me, myself, but join together in the Uranian energy of the 11th house in Aquarius. That's the same thing. Aquarius, Uranus, 11th house. All of us together, I stand with you. I stand with you. That is just the best thing I've seen. Well, I'm not really like following it and watching the news all the time, but I happened to catch that one. It was just like, yeah, that's integrity. That's the way to handle it. That's, if you want respect, you have to be respectful of others. Oh, he's a piece of shit. Let's drag him through the streets and stone him, and castrate him and blah blah blah. Then you're no better than them. You're worse than them. And that's an extreme example, of course. I'm not advocating that, or I don't know that I've not seen anybody advocating that, but I'm just going extreme to make a point, that integrity, respect, knowledge, enlighten. You know, for these people who are in these situations that are the predators, you know, maybe help them to not want to do it for other reasons other than there will be punishment, or they'll lose their money, or they'll lose their status. I mean, yeah, you got to hit where it hurts, I guess, but ultimately, you know, a true enlightenment with this, and death and rebirth is a complete change around with the Scorpio, with the galactic center I was trying to call up, and that's also at 26 degrees, 26 for the new moon, 26 on the galactic center, 25 and some change on the Uranus. So these are all heavily involved, and I'm talking a lot about the South Node, but that's Uranus's rules of the Aquarius and South Node, so that's tied in. You know, 24 here, 29 here. So it's a tipping point, I'm hearing. You know, it's a tipping point of us moving in a new direction, and it's a huge opportunity. You know, we don't have to go kicking and screaming into this. And, you know, solving a problem with the same mindset that created it is an impossibility or something. That's why I think that's one of Einstein's gems. You know, so we've got to have a change, and Sagittarius is about learning, growing, education, connecting to spirit, connecting to higher forces, going off beyond the third house of your own neighborhood, like the Pink Floyd, kicking around the piece of ground in your hometown, you know, waiting for someone to show you a way. Go to the 9th house of, you know, what else is out there? What other, who else has ideas? How are other people, you know, how do people do things in other countries and other lands, what are some new ideas that I could implement? I want to learn, I want to grow beyond this little spot, like almost like the caterpillar, and I want to blossom into the butterfly. And I mean, nobody knows for sure, but there's got to be some pain involved in that process, right? Don't they eat themselves in there or something, you know? But that's the metamorphosis of the Scorpio energy too, you know, the death and the rebirth. And then we're free of these burdens, you know, we're free of it. I think as Chiron moves into Aries, we're going to see more of this, because this is the victim. This is from Pisces. I'm the victim. I'm the martyr. This is the age of Pisces that's being ushered out, and for the age of Aquarius. You know, Jesus died on the cross. It's all. And don't freak out and start commenting if you're a Christian. I'm not putting down Christianity, but it's all part of this martyrdom thing, you know. And as it moves into Aries, it's going to be more about the individual. Like I the individual, have to take charge of, or take responsibility for. That's what I was trying to say. Take responsibility for my own wounding and my own healing and everything like this. Okay. All right, so there's a lot there. Next month, we're going to have a lot to talk about as Saturn goes into Capricorn. I think that's kind of good. It feels at home there. And I want to just say one more thing before I move on from this. Saturn, like, I am a Capricorn sun sign, yeah. But I've known that Saturn to be my friend, you know. Saturn, it's for good or for ill. It's karmic retribution for good or for ill. So I've had many great things happen on Saturn transits. I've had many great things, wonderful things come to me. That seemed like impossible feats. Saturn can move mountains, and I always took it as, you know, from my old perspective, it was always like, well, that's because I've accrued good karma, which may be true too. Maybe I've accrued some good karma or dharma, you know. But now I feel it's more of you know, this self-responsibility thing, you know. But we're still dealing in the three-dimensional world. Saturn's very much into that and part of it, and we're going to be dealing with that a lot more as Uranus moves into Taurus. We're getting these major footholds in these earth signs with Pluto and Capricorn. Saturn will be in Capricorn. Uranus will be in Taurus, you know. So it's major grounding, earth plane, physical 3D reality stuff that we're going to be dealing with over the next few years. But for the Scorpio new moon, you know, it's death and rebirth. It's going deep. It's looking at things, and it can only help you to really look at things. I mean, just, you don't have to wait for Chiron to go in Aries to start looking at this stuff for yourself, you know. But that, I mean, it might be a good time to think about that. things that you have blamed, you know, how could you take responsibility for it? And I am definitely not going with the blame the victim. Well, maybe I shouldn't have wore that dress. Maybe that dress was too short, or I wouldn't have got my ass grabbed. You know, that's not the message I'm trying to tell you here. It's more like, you know, how can I be re-empowered? How can I not let this one incident define me as a victim for my entire life, or make me feel afraid, or make me feel small? Lilith in Capricorn, she wants to kick ass and take names. And look out when she gets up to Pluto. Sparks are going to fly. That's my prediction. But it would be a joining. And Pluto's the ruler of Scorpio, and Jupiter's in Scorpio. So there's going to be a lot of death and transformation about power. Capricorn, who's running the show? Who's in charge? Who's the boss? Who's the emperor? You know, it's the emperor and the empress, like in the tarot, joining together in divine union. Yeah, I like that. Okay, hey everybody, I touched on it for 1 sec, but do check out my site. Do check out this, Maslow, M-A-S-L-O-W. Find a clearer graphic. But if you go to my site, I do have all sorts of stuff there, the books, the decks, and I'm kind of pushing the t-shirts. That's under the art tab. And I got a whole bunch, and it's through Amazon merch, so if you have a Prime account, free shipping, bam, 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 real easy peasy. If you order the shirts, here's another on the Amazon site. The choices I have available now, they're kind of freezing, or they call it throttling or whatever right now because of the holidays. I'm not really sure, but I have some live. I have enough live to work with, and they're cool, like the Rock and Roll Tarot deck, and they're esoterically, you know, oriented for the most part. What's your sign? You know, with astrology, I have the What's Your Sign, and then astrologers have stars in their eyes. I have 2 different versions of that, so if you get a minute, you know, check it out. Yeah, so new moon is Scorpio, death and rebirth. So it's and it's not that just everybody else has to change. Well, yeah, I'm all for change. They do have to change. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They have to change. No, you have to change too. Even if it's only in the, you know, the way you react. I mean, there's a lot of ways. It's not about saying, okay, I was at fault because I wore that dress, or I did this, or I did that, or I went to a bar by myself, or I did this or did that. No, that's not it. But it's like taking responsibility for yourself in the here and now as we're moving into this Aries. It's a little ways off, but I'm compelled to kind of talk about it. How can I take responsibility? How can I not let this ruin my life? How can I take appropriate and dignified and classy action, rather than, you know, going, you know, just rolling around in the dirt and the mud in negative vibration? How can I, if possible, you know, have my, what would you call it, perpetrator? That's kind of a strong word, but I'll use perpetrator. How can I have my perpetrator acknowledge what they did and come forth about it, but not turn into a crazy, you know, the crazy mob scene of throwing, you know, castrating and dragging through the streets and throwing dung at, you know, and that type of thing. So, you know, it's a delicate balance. It's a delicate balance to walk. Scorpio energy can be a little harsh and a little unsympathetic, you know, if you've ever been around Scorpio. They can really let you have it, but I really appreciate that honesty and candor. I have Scorpio rising, but I really get along with Scorpios really well. I always have. I appreciate that, you know. And for the most part, they don't try to be mean. They just give it to you straight. And I really like, Sagittarius are like that to an extent too, but Sagittarius, it's kind of like they don't even realize they said anything wrong. They just blurt it out like, oh, I'm sorry. Did I, you know, they don't even realize. But Scorpio knows exactly what they're saying to you. But like I said, I really appreciate that. And it doesn't have to be in a mean way. Of course, there's the 3 energies of the Scorpio. There is the stinging Scorpio, and that's the one that can do some damage. And then there's this eagle, of course, that's the soaring high, soaring above it. And that's kind of the thing. I always think of eagle associated with Aquarius. I don't know why, but I just do for some reason. And I'm not really sure. Maybe I had read something somewhere, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting, you know, because the eagle soars high above. And that's the Aquarian nature. Aquarians aren't always really of this earth. They're not of this earth, just plain and simple. And they're kind of, they come from another dimension. They're vibrating on another dimension. You know, even if you look at the glyph, the symbol for Aquarius, it looks like vibrations, you know. And it's space age and it's all that stuff. So I think of that as the eagle. You know, I don't know if there's any actual other thing to back it up, but I do think of it that way. You know, so that's the Aquarian nature of the soaring higher, soaring above it. And then there's the gray lizards. They're just like kind of dark and depressed, you know, hiding in their hole, and you know that's what they neither have the guts to go either way. They don't have the what do you call it, whatever of their conviction, you know, because you know the Scorpion's all out. You know, they're not trying to hide. They're like, don't tread on me, don't mess with me, or you're gonna get hurt. You know, don't play with me, or you play with fire. I'm hearing the Stones tune. But it's not fire, but you know, it's that kind of same gist of the, or really go for it all the way, the eagle, you know. But then there's the Scorpio energy of the gray lizard, I always interpret it as kind of just being caught in between, usually depressed, kind of out of it, psychic but depressed, and kind of in a dark place all the time, you know. So it's a deep sign. It's a deep energy, and there's a lot of different ways to go with it. But ideally, with this galactic center getting kicked off and square to Chiron, we're going to go high. You know, we're going to go high. Okay. Go high, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Check out if you want the year ahead readings. They're available for a limited time. I have those. I have the t-shirts. If you're interested in your soul path and past life karma stuff, I do have those soul readings. Those are always available. Those are my favorite readings to do. It's not a predictive reading. I'm not trying to tell you what's going to happen or how to live your life, okay? Alright, and thanks for everything you do, liking, sharing, commenting, donating. Check out my website. Remember that you are love and beauty incarnate. Have a great new moon in Scorpio. Speak to you soon.